Welcome back to the Block Stretchers Repair YouTube channel. Today we're going to be trying to fix this 1978 Williams World Cup pinball machine. In the last part we got it cleaned up and we discovered what the issues were, so now let's see if we can get this thing fully functional. I would like to at least play a game before this video ends, so let's get to work. If you missed the previous part, I picked this thing up on Facebook Marketplace for $50, and well, we need to get this thing working. In the last part, as I said, cleaned it up, but we need to actually fix it, and our main issue, I believe, is with the 40-pin connector in the head. So, without further ado, let's, well, get into its head. And inside the head, this is what I'm talking about. This 40-pin connector here likes to go bad from what I've read, so that is probably our issue. We also have sockets to replace every socketed chip on here. Well, not the chip itself, but the socket, because those also apparently like to go bad. I also got the correct size capacitors, so we don't have to have this absolute nightmare of a mess right here. And I think that's pretty much it. But let's grab these boards out. I think we're gonna start with, let's start with recapping the power supply. So let's rip this thing out. It should just be a few it's not even screwed on the bottom half. That's awesome. A few connectors and 2 screws. There should be more than that, but there isn't. Should be some nice simple screws here. This is the last one. Take this thing out and we have our board free at last. That looks pretty normal. Let's take this thing over to the workbench and get it recapped. And here we go. This is our Williams, I believe, System 5 power supply. And we got a power supply kit for it. It's a simple 4-capacitor kit. We have our absolutely massive capacitor, and we have our 3 smaller capacitors. So let's get this thing installed. Start with this absolutely massive capacitor here. Some tape on here for the drone video. If you haven't seen that, go check that out. I'm just going to add some solder to this old solder. It should be leaded solder, so it should melt pretty easily, but any flux that's on it's obviously completely dry, so we're going to use some flux solder just to add a little bit of flux. I could add flux, but I find this way works usually better. And now we just need to melt this bad boy out of here. This one's a bit interesting because it's like 3 wires twisted together down to 1 wire, so a bit weird. Let's get this bad boy out. It is, holy shit, they did not package that very well. Let's get this thing replaced. It should have been a 12,000 microfarad. It was close to a 14,000. That's fun. 1 down, 3 to go. This will be the fastest cap kit I think I've ever installed. Okay, so we got 2 different facing capacitors right here. Let's grab those things off and get these last 2 replaced, and we will be done. Now with these 2 capacitors in, let's throw some more solder down, and we should be finished with this cap kit. I'll slap this sticker on saying it was recapped and when it was recapped, and we should be done with this, and we can move on to the next board. I was just inspecting some joints on this board before I considered it completely done, and I think we need to throw this under the microscope and take a closer look because I just found something pretty major. As we can see, these connectors here, they look okay. They're not in amazing condition, but they're okay. They definitely would pass electricity. If we just go over a little bit further to this connector, those ones are a different story. Most of these are broken. There's a couple here in the middle right around here that are still pretty okay, but as you can see as we go back over here, those are all broken. So I'm going to reflow every single solder joint, well, not every single solder, every single connector on this board. These usually do tend to break. That's why I was originally checking them out, because people, well, they plug them in, pull stuff out. They get a lot of use and a lot of abuse, so let's reflow all of these connectors, even these ones over here, and just make sure everything is good as new. Now with the power supply back in and mounted nicely up, let's get this thing here done. And by doing that, we're going to replace this 40-pin connector. I'm going to wait on all of the sockets because that's a fun job to do. So we're going to wait on that. I'll do it eventually, but hopefully we don't need to do that to get this to play right now. So let's replace that and this row of connectors. Apparently those are pretty common things to go. Well, this obviously is broken, and hopefully that is too. And here is this board. Now before I go any further, I should preface this by saying 2-Bit Score has not worked on this thing since I'm assuming 99, so I'm not blaming them for what I'm about to show you. At least I'm really hoping they didn't do this. Some of these solder joints. Those ones, pretty good, okay. Those ones, not so great. Oh boy. We're getting worse. Those ones were definitely not even touched. And we got some cold solder joints. Yeah, I'm honestly not that impressed with some of these solder joints. Yeah, I'm kind of not very impressed. But as you can see, somebody has gone through and touched up all of these connectors for broken solder joints. That is possibly a good thing. It also looks like this connector might have been replaced before. Not a good thing, because that's what we're hoping the issue is. Here are some more pretty nice solder joints. As you can see, this is just a ball on the end of the rod, so it looks like somebody probably removed that pad. So judging by these, they were either going way too hot and going way too quick, or they were going too low of temp, and that that made them scrape off this pad here and caused all these cold solder joints. Either that or they were going too hot and it burned off that pad, and they're too hotness, they're just going too quick and not letting the solder melt fully. Those are my best guesses. They also missed a connector. I don't know how they did that. And all of the old connectors and the battery compartment are removed from these boards, so now let's get everything soldered back in place. And now with all the boards back in, moment of truth. Lights, numbers! That's what we want to see. Those screens might have a problem though, Jesus. They are very flickery. But we have more numbers this time. Will the game actually start up? That would be awesome. So it appears to still not quite be working. So actually it might be kind of working. We get slight sound. The displays are solid though. I don't know what's with the flickery then when it's flickering. Those are solid as a rock now. That's very odd. Looks like we have on ball 1, we have 19 probably credits because I was flipping that switch a whole bunch. Ooh! We have flippers. Let's see if we got any other things. I unfortunately don't have a pinball in the machine, so can't do any of that. Hey! We heard the noise. We got a number. Do we have... Okay, so we still don't have these. They're not scoring, nothing. We have these. No, so we still don't have certain playfield things like these and those. But, at least we have solid screens now, so that's a good sign. They're flickery on camera, but that's only on camera. Nothing caught fire in here. So I think the issue that we're going to have next is with the sockets on these chips. I imagine that might be an issue. There also might be an issue on this board causing those flippers, but I'm going to start probably with new sockets on this. I also have a cap kit for the soundboard, and I think I have capacitors for a few other capacitors on this boards. So let's... Actually, I guess there's not really any capacitors on those boards besides one on each, so I highly doubt that's causing an issue. But it looks like we definitely still have an issue, unfortunately. You know, I just realized all of these resistors are missing. There's a row of resistors missing. There should be 8 27 ohm, I believe originally 3 watt, and they recommend upgrading to 5 watt resistors that fail pretty often, which is probably why they were removed to be replaced, and then nobody ever replaced them. I believe these are for the lamps, so I don't think this has anything to do with the issue we're having, but that is something I'll have to replace. But I've gone ahead and replaced the sockets on that board, so let's put these back together and see if this wants to work now. Now, weirdly, this board was actually completely re-socketed already, except for the CPU chip. That was still running the original, that style socket that fails, apparently. The rest were all already replaced. I replaced them again, but that's really weird. This is the one that fails most often, and they didn't replace it. That's very weird. Restarted it, now let's see if it'll... Whoa! That's way louder than it used to be. Okay, I thought I'd have to recap the soundboard for that, not replace sockets on the CPU board. Very odd, but moment of truth. We still don't have any power to those. Darn. Still no flipper power. Well, I mean, we have flipper power, but I mean solenoid power. That's odd. Let's move on. Hey, I found those resistors that are missing. I wonder if they desoldered themselves. I've seen that's apparently possible. So, hopefully somebody just removed them, they didn't just desolder themselves and drop down here, but that's really funny. Well, I decided to start doing some probing around, which is usually what you'd start with, but on a machine like this where there's known issues, like that, all the connectors and everything, that obviously has to be replaced before I'd ever sell this machine, I didn't exactly do the probing first, but that fuse right there is bad. It looks to connect, but it is not connected. There is actually a break right in the center there. So, time to get a replacement. What is that? It's a slow blow. I'll have to get in there and read what that actually is supposed to be, and slap a new fuse in it. Slow blow fuses are very deceptive. As you can see, it looks, you know, there's something going across the entire way, but if you actually look at it closely, you can see the metal wire has burned off. That's the fun part about slow blows. They're sometimes difficult to tell if it's actually blown, because that could have blown up in the end, and then you'd actually just not even be able to tell. Now, unfortunately, I'm out of slow blow fuses, so we're just gonna put in a fast blow fuse and hope it doesn't blow immediately. Moment of truth. Hey, that was a thunk. That was something. We didn't have that before, so maybe we have solenoid power now. Let's try and start up the game. So, oh, we no longer have flippers. What the hell? That's still scoring, but we've lost flippers. Odd. Ah, fuck you. That works. So we lost flippers, but we gained that. Now I'm confused. What the fuck? Hey, so we have that. They can try to bite me. That one is stuck down. What? Dare you, son of a bitch! Holy shit, how strong is that fucking electromagnet? I didn't catch it on camera, but just that little bit of time of this thing being on, this thing was smoking. That is hot to the touch. Jesus Christ. So, definitely have some gap issues going on with that switch. Yep, that switch right in there looks like it's permanently pressed down. We just need to re-gap that, and we should be good. Things just got a little bit more interesting. I now have fixed this. That one works. Now, this one doesn't. This still works. But I no longer have this relay. Well, solenoid. I also don't have flippers, so that's an issue. So what the hell is going on? You fix one thing and another thing stops working. I also realized I do have a slow blow fuse. All this machine came with like 2,700 fuses, so I'll have to figure out if there's any of that amperage, but probably. Found something. Whenever I lifted this playfield up, I must accidentally yank this out of here. That's connected to, I believe, the 40 volt section, so that's definitely could be a solenoid. 40 volts. Sounds like flippers. Don't think that'll be causing this one's issue, but that sounds like that could be our flipper issue. And I was correct. That was the flippers. Really gummed up, but it was the flippers. Awesome. Still, unfortunately, this does not work, so there is still something else. Okay, so weirdly, we're not even getting voltage to the switch of this for this solenoid here. We're getting voltage to that one, but nothing to this one. So it's an issue with the board, I guess, inside there, not anything out here. Fun. I just remembered that wire down there is an orange wire. I wonder if it has to do with this wire right here that I had to recrimp, because that post is rather corroded and I never cleaned it like I should have. So that might be our issue. I wonder if I wiggle that if we'll get this bad boy back. Just... Hey! Hello. Hey, what was that? Okay, thank goodness. So now, honestly, besides for the slow-ass flippers, I think we can play this. Now the first play on our new pinball machine. We are on very unlevel ground, so yeah, as you can see, the ball is very much trying to go to that side. To the point where it might get stuck. Okay. That was... Jesus, it shoots it out fast. Come on, at least hit some stuff. I want to, like, see some stuff happen. There we go. Yeah! Yeah, the flippers are getting stuck, but as the first game, it plays. We just need to get these things not stuck, and this thing will be ready to go. Well, not really. There's quite a lot more we need to do. We still don't even have those goddamn resistors in there. Now we need to tackle this quietness issue, so we're ripping out this soundboard here so we can replace all of these old capacitors. I bought a capacitor kit for it, so it should be pretty simple. Not sure what somebody's obsession was with removing screws, but this one also only has 2 screws in it, the 2 at the top. It is missing the 2 at the bottom. Somebody went through this and just kind of ripped out a lot of screws that they, I guess, deemed unnecessary. And here is our cap kit. As you can see, one is actually already stabbing through the bag. It really wants to get on this board. And you can also see the capacitors have shrunk a little bit over the past 45 years. It's actually really impressive how much these things have shrunk, especially considering this one's double the voltage of the original. And with all those capacitors replaced, let's slap this thing back in the cabinet and see if we have nice loud sound again, or if it blows up because I put a capacitor in backwards. Moment of truth. Let's plug it in. Nothing exploded yet. That's a good sign. Let's start a game and see if we have sound. It's a little bit louder, I think. Jesus. Ah, God, that's loud. Let's just turn that down a little bit. Try that again. That's somehow louder. Which way is lower? And with that, we now have proper sound. I believe somebody replaced that potentiometer with the wrong potentiometer because you have that much adjustment, and about this much adjustment actually affects how loud it is. The rest is just max volume. So I think somebody put the wrong pot in there. You can still adjust it to the right volume. You just have to be very fine movements. But I believe now I got it set to a decent volume. And as you can hear, it is set, and it is fully working at a nice loud volume, and no longer that weird silentness. Hello. That's what we want to see. Awesome. And with that, we're pretty much done. The only things left are we need to order those resistors for that board, and we need to install a spinning target and a few other pieces of plastic need replaced, but this thing's coming along. It is almost done. So if you want to see more of this machine, see it get finally fully finished, please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.